Why I homeschool is I grew up in the state of Montana and my parents homeschooled. I have 10 siblings and they homeschooled most all of us through our schooling years. And some of us went to public school, and then my younger siblings, most of them homeschooled the whole time. And a lot of my cousins up there also homeschooled. And I never really well, when I got into college, there was a lot of controversy against homeschooling. And so I wanted to understand why my parents, who were really smart people, why they would have chosen to homeschool us when there's a lot of like negative information out there about homeschooling. So I started to dig in. I wasn't married, I didn't have kids, but I really wanted to understand my parents' choice. So I started reading books by John Taylor Gatto and the Dumbing Us Down, another one, Rachel and Oliver DeMille, or just Oliver DeMille, I can't remember, but wrote Thomas Jefferson Education, and a few other books. And as I started digging into those, I was sold on homeschooling and that I wanted to homeschool my kids. So that brought me to this point. And also, I just think family is so important. I could not imagine, I just really felt that having my kids home with me most of the time with myself and my husband when he's here was so valuable. They would be spending then more time with us than they would with other people. And also I read studies where kids are actually mentored at school mostly by their peers, not even by their teachers, because they spend more time with their peers than with their teachers. And so that was also another big important thing for me. And I heard a quote by Hank Smith once about homeschooling, and he said, we just want our kids to marinate in us. And so I kind of laughed about that, but in a lot of ways it's true that I think as a parent, quantity time is much more valuable than quality time, although quality time is important. So that's a big focus of ours. So what do we use to homeschool? What curriculum do we use? So I'll start with my youngest. My youngest actually I have a friend that lives close by that does preschool out of her home, and my youngest son went to her last year and loved it. So we're gonna do it again this year. He's 4 and he goes just a couple hours, a couple days a week. So that's fantastic for him. Then next is my 7-year-old who is doing the Good and the Beautiful, math and language arts. So that's him. And then my other son is 9 and he is also doing the Good and the Beautiful, math and language arts. And then next is my daughter. Oh, wait, actually, okay, so this is his level 2 and their handwriting is fantastic. So those are my 2 younger boys. And then my daughter, who is, she is using Saxon. I switch her, she does not like math at all. So we finally I switch her back to Saxon. I had a math tutor a couple years ago who preferred Saxon. And so because she was struggling so much, I just popped her right back to Saxon from the Good and the Beautiful, just because she was struggling. So that is working good for her. She's doing the Good and the Beautiful handwriting and then the language arts book too. So one thing about my daughter that I'll share too is, well, with all my kids, not all of them, but with her and my next son, this one says all about spelling, but there's one called all about reading that I have boxed up. I didn't pull it out, but she was really a reluctant reader and struggling for reading. And I was just struggling so much trying to figure out how to get her to read. So I jumped into the All About Reading program and I used, I think, the first 2 or 3 levels with her, and it was a game changer. Fantastic. So highly recommend the All About Reading program for anyone who has a struggling reader. Then my oldest son is we switched him a few years ago. He just finished up 7th grade with teaching textbooks, which has been great. He got to a certain point where I just needed something a little more intensive for him, and I couldn't be there so much for him. So teaching textbooks is fantastic for that. And he also started a Light in the Dark investigations with a Mindful Heart at the end of last year, which we're loving. It's all about World War I and World War II in history. And so that's been fantastic. He's going to do some online courses this year, also with an online program called Call to Learn, which has a little bit of our faith included in it. And so that he will be doing those things. And my other kids will also be doing 1 hour online too with the Call to Learn. And these are the little caddies we keep on their desk that all their books fit inside, which we just keep these in the middle of the desk to keep things organized. So that works really good. And just to share really quickly also for our morning devotional, I'm just finishing these up, but these are the morning menus that I'm starting to use. with our morning time. Just I've seen a couple of videos on these and they're fantastic. We do this anyway, but having these morning menus to be able to have our scriptures and our song that we're going to be singing all together, so they can have it right there is handy. And then they each have, this stays down by our dining table where we do our morning devotional, is just to have a notebook where we have the same scripture all week long that they just write, and they can see themselves improve. So anyway, so that's what we use. Okay, so where do we homeschool? This is our upstairs bonus room where we spend a lot of time homeschooling, and off of our bonus room is a spare bedroom that is also our toy room, and so our little ones will spend a lot of time in there playing. And I think for me that's crucial to have their play space very close to where we school, so they know I'm right here. They can ask me questions, they can make me food in their play kitchen and bring it out to me, and I can make orders and stuff like that. They're really close if they need help with their puzzles or whatever. So anyway, so that's been fun to have it. We have a big space, but any space would really work. And then this is we have some little maps up here. These are my books. This is like for me, my bookshelf mostly, and then my desk. I love having a big monitor right here that is connected to my computer, my laptop, and speakers. I like to play things for my kids, like, anything that you can think of, I can play it on here, and it's great. So I don't have to turn around and look at it with them, or I can look at my laptop. So that's been nice. These chairs are actually wonderful. I do a lot of one-on-one with my kids right in these two chairs, and it's fantastic. I like having the armrest, so this chair works good for me, and then my kids can sit right there and cuddle up to my chair. So these are great. Just having a whiteboard is awesome. We usually have all kinds of stuff on here, and so this is great. Got my little caddy with some markers and pencils and pins and supplies in it. And then this is our book station. One of our book stations. I really love the Well-Educated Heart. I use that a lot in our schooling, so that's a lot of my Well-Educated Heart books. And just keep all my binders and books. And then up top we've got puzzles. I keep a lot of my puzzles and flashcards and stuff up there. So that's that. And our sewing station, I like to have that up here too. A lot of times if I want to read a story or something, I'll have my kids doing different things. Sometimes I'll have them sewing on buttons or different things like that. Then I like to store stuff up here. Some of these kiwi crates we used to get are stored up there, more math manipulatives. And then here's another bookshelf that I've got. I organize these by levels. So this is like level 9, 10 and up, 6 and 7, 5 and 4, 3 and 2, first like kindergarten-ish. And then I've got some history stuff here, math books, like reading math books, and then just kids books down here. And then I've got like extra curriculum and notebooks, magazines, just miscellaneous stuff down here. So, and then this is just like a little play area. We put on some climbing rocks in this. So my little kids can play up here. A lot of times they'll just do whatever, put pillows in here, make a swing. I don't know. So this is kind of nice to have this little outlet for the kids to take a break and go play and jump around. So that's kind of, we've got it on both sides. So, and then just this is a little caddy where we store paper, envelopes, and all that. I actually have a little, another little basket that's downstairs. These diaper bags are so handy that I keep markers and crayons and stuff in. So that can go with me downstairs, upstairs, because I feel like we're doing stuff all the time with that. And then this is we just switched from desks to tables. Well, my son's desk is still here, and that's our computer for my son who's doing more online classes right now. So he's here most of the time. And then we actually have another laptop we use for some other programs that some of my other kids use. So, oh, and then lastly, we have this. I need to get this hung up, but also this world history chart's fantastic for studying history. It gives you an idea of what was going on in the world during biblical times and different things. So this is a fantastic addition if you're studying ancient history. So, or just history in general. So when do we homeschool? We like our mornings to be fairly relaxed right when everyone gets up. And so usually my littles will get up first. Well, my older kids will get up before them a lot of times, especially my son who helps milk. We have a cow and we milk it. And so my older son a lot of times helps milk the cow. And so he will generally be outside doing yard chores and farm chores. So he'll be up, but when my littles get up, I'll make them like hot cocoa or something. They love their raw milk hot cocoa. So we have that a lot. And then I like to read books with them. I just think very first thing in the morning, they're so groggy, just to wrap them up on the couch with me and pull out some books they want or that I've picked out is just a fantastic way to start my day and get my littles a little bit of love and nourishment first thing in the morning. So I'm all about reading books to them first thing. So let me think what else here. After that, we usually will gather around the table and have a little breakfast and then go into our devotional. And then we'll wrap up breakfast and kids clear, they're in charge of clearing their plates. We don't always load them right into the dishwasher, but at least getting them into the sink so that they can be loaded around lunchtime or something like that, and they're not left out all over the table. Because then our morning devotional will go into that, and that is at our dining table down. I'll show you guys, but that's at our dining table downstairs, and then our homeschool room's upstairs. So from there, after our devotional, we'll usually come up here, and then we just transition into, generally we'll do a little bit of family study together. Our devotional will extend up here a little bit, and then we'll break off into individual subjects. So I just have this simple chart that we don't always follow this exactly to a T, but as you can see, I don't have a time on here because I don't rule our day by the clock. I rule it by a flow, just because some days we stay up later, some days we have more going on, and I think sleep's really important, especially for my mental sanity. So we try to just go by the flow, and it helps. And also for me, I like to get up before everyone, and some days that's impossible. Some days I'm just too tired and I give myself grace. But my very favorite thing to do is get up before everyone and go on a walk. And a lot of times I'll listen to something inspiring, something that feeds my soul. And then if I have time when I come home, I'll read a little bit more too. I'll usually try to read at least 10 minutes in the morning of scriptures and other books that I'm reading. So how do we homeschool? How do we make it work with, cooking all the meals and cleaning and keeping up with everyone's schoolwork? And I'm a constant work in progress with my homeschool, but I will share some of the things that are sticking or working. One of them is, the first thing I want to start with is that I have this last year been studying Nicolene Peck's A House United, and it is fantastic. I am not a very structured person or organized person by nature. That has been probably my biggest hurdle in homeschooling. So reading her book and studying it has just been a huge blessing. Learning about creating a family mission, a family vision statement, getting my family standard written down, and sharing those with my kids. So when they're doing something that isn't in line with our family vision, I can talk to them about that and their behavior. So I actually have a reason why this is not good behavior in our home. So I think that has been a huge blessing for me. So I really encourage that. I'm still working on it and I'm still learning that. So another thing that we have is each of my kids have a day of the week. It works out good because we have 5 kids. And so my oldest son has Monday and it goes down from there. Everyone has a day, and my husband and I are on the weekend days. But on their day, it's their laundry day. It's the day that they help mostly with the dishes. They unload the dishes and help load them generally. And it's also the day that they do most of the praying in the home. So they kind of know, like, oh, this person gets to pray. So anyway, that's kind of worked good for us. That's really stuck. I like having a day. Then we also have our very simple chore chart. This is I actually need to update it because I just wrote in some more with marker, as you can see, because we just revised our zones, but and I need to revise them even more. But these are on a monthly rotation basis, and so that has worked really good for us. Weekly was too quick, and monthly seems to work good. We'll just start at the first of the month, and at the end of the month they switch zones. So anyway, that is it. And anyway, so that's our little zone chart. And then lastly, my friend started a little she does a parenting course it's called Fully Nested, and these are memory makers. And so my kids know that these are something, if I catch them randomly doing something good, then I can say, hey, Eli, thanks so much for doing that without me having to ask you twice. Or I love the way you're playing with your sibling. Go get yourself a memory maker. and they know, then they put them in here. I try to never use them to bribe, but sometimes I do, but that's not the purpose. But once they're full, then they get to pick a family activity or something that they want to do fun, just with one of us. And sometimes when we are super busy, I'll let them trade them in for money, but generally the goal is to make a memory. So also, even though my kids have zones, we've kind of gone into some hiccups where my kids will say, well, that's not in my zone, or that's not my job. And we just really reiterate to our children that we're a family, we work together. And so sometimes you're asked to do things that maybe aren't in your responsibility, but that we just do it to help each other anyway. And the siblings will do the same for them sometimes. Another thing that's been really helpful is, and Nicolene Peck talks about this in her book, but having weekly couple meetings with my spouse and then having family meetings and one-on-one meetings with my kids is just really, really been huge. So that's also something I really encourage. But I think having the couple meetings helps get my needs met and my husband's needs met, so we can talk about if we can help troubleshoot together. Like laundry. Laundry's always been an issue for me, and it is something that I have to work at all the time. It helps with my kids having their laundry day, but my husband works from home, so we kind of have gotten him a little bit involved in the laundry system. So he has his daily help with the laundry. So even though it's someone's zone, like right now it's my 4-year-old, he helps me with the laundry, so it's mostly me. But having that couple meetings is important. And then the family meeting is great. Don't do it over 20 minutes. I try to keep it lower and keep notes so you can always refer back to it. But then being able to say, if you see a problem happening in your home, like everyone's late for breakfast or they're not coming on time, then you can figure out a consequence. Like, hey, everyone has to be at the table at 8:30, and let's figure out a consequence if you're not there. Like, let's all agree on one. So they already know beforehand what the consequence is if they're not there at this certain time or whatever. And so it really helps. And then just the one-on-one meetings weekly, we try to do these on Sunday with the kids, is really helpful to know where they're at. I just don't think you can talk to your kids one-on-one enough. And so having those one-on-one meetings just is huge to figure out where we can support them, what we're missing from them, and really get, tabs on how to support them in their growth.